bring in our guest. Joining us to discuss national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, just your reaction to some of the things that mom had to say. For me, most poignant was this idea, and we talk about it all the time, about some sort of closure. And she says, okay, from a justice standpoint, yes, but otherwise, no.
I can tell you from personal experience that there is no closure, you know, at a family where they lose a son like that. You know, my older brother was murdered. My dad still hasn't had closure. Closure just doesn't exist. And I was struck by the fact that this woman, it looked like her daughter. They're both beautiful, beautiful people. And her being in the courtroom is, I think, was why the jury voted unanimously in favor of the death penalty. I think the death penalty was right in this case. I think it's appropriate. The aggravating factors were there. And I think that this, you know, her presentation right now was important. But no, closure, she'll never get closure.
And it was an 8-4 decision by the jury, and that's enough under Florida law, as you pointed out, the only state in the nation that's enough vote for the death penalty for the jury to recommend it. We know the judge will hold a Spencer hearing prior to sentencing and could then determine life in prison and not the death penalty, but those are the next steps. And I have to say this, I can't even imagine the bravery and courage. And she said, as the mother, Elizabeth, did, I was thinking of my daughter to be in that courtroom and to face the accuser. And I must ask this, as a criminal defense attorney, Michael, when you are with your client, they're in the trenches, so to speak, do you ever have a feeling of what it must be like for everyone else in that courtroom to be looking at your client, believing they did it, whether there's then a conviction or not?
I've been in that situation hundreds of times, obviously not all of them with murder, hundreds of times. Every single time it is awkward. It is awful. It is when you walk into the courtroom, you know, and every lawyer has an appearance. So I would walk into the courtroom, my hair was gelled, and I would get these snake eyes from the family. I would expect it, right? It's always awkward. It's always just very, very, it gives you a bizarre feeling in your core, and you're never numb from it, never numb to it. Hundreds of times I've been in that situation. Every single time, it's like the first time.
Yeah, it's unique. I'll say that for sure. All right, stand by if you would, please, Michael.
You try to water it down, but it sounds like they were in an abusive relationship,
yes,
and she was on the receiving end of that abuse. Let's bring in our guest with us to discuss national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, extraordinary testimony, extraordinary cross-examination. In opening statements, this defense attorney told this jury, you know, Caitlin Clark's a problem, but you're going to have to decide on her credibility. And I think he's done a pretty good job so far of really attacking that credibility.
Absolutely. This is the entire case. That played like a movie, like a script, like it was scripted. It was riveting to see. And this is the case. He's got to have to attack her credibility. Also, he's trying to paint the victim. He's doing a good job. Paint him as a monster. So far, he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
And there are two things that I thought. First of all, in direct examination, I thought it could have been a drug dealer that killed this victim. And now, I mean, on direct rather. And now on cross, I'm thinking, maybe she did it, and the father's taking the fall for her. So I can't help but say the way it is playing out, it makes me think there are alternative theories that might be true.
Reasonable doubt, and he's creating it. He's creating reasonable doubt, and you just said exactly why he's creating reasonable doubt. He's doing an amazing job, and that's why I was thinking the same thing. As he was getting hurt, she almost cried. I was thinking maybe she did it. Maybe she had to do it. Maybe she was abused. Who knows? But I agree with you. He's creating reasonable doubt.
Yes, he is.
How effective was her testimony on direct in your mind, Michael? She basically talked about some comments made by the defendant. She asked him straight up, did you kill Kirby? And he says, it's none of your business. Worry about your daughter, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Never comes right out and says it. But again, you can make the inference. There's some innuendo there. I wasn't sure how powerful her testimony on direct was, especially considering the type of deal she got. But what are your thoughts?
I did not think she was credible at all on direct examination, and it's very easy to be credible on direct examination. You know what questions are coming. You're prepared for it. Your life is on the line. Cross-examination is where you peel back the layers of a witness that was put up on direct examination. But with that being said, I don't think she was credible even on direct examination.
And what about mom? So we don't know whether or not the mother's going to testify. We know that both the daughter and the mother got, I would call, very good deals for testimony. The daughter has to testify, cooperate, but then she's facing a suspended sentence. And the mother got a 10-year sentence that's suspended, parole after that, or probation after that, rather. At the end of the day, those charges are phenomenal, yet I haven't heard anything out of this witness that suggests she was involved in this crime. So I'm a little confused.
You know, I was on the commercial break. I was actually researching to see what's going to happen with the mom and about her sentence, because I think she's a bigger problem for the defendant than even the daughter. I mean, the daughter's pretty a big problem. She's testifying against her father. But the mother is a big problem because she took a plea before before day one of jury deliberation. So I haven't seen anything either. But if she does testify, I don't know what she could say. I don't think it was part of her deal to testify. But I mean, if she testifies and says, yeah, he told me he did it, or I was helping him cover it up, obviously game over. But I think the defense attorney for this defendant knows she's not going to testify, and that's why they're going down this road. I think they already know she's not going to testify.
Yeah, let's be clear. They made the deal with her. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Her deal, the daughter's deal, is not done.
Right.
It's only done after she testifies truthfully. So they could technically pull it if they didn't like her testimony. All right, Mike, stand by. We do have to take a break, folks. Before we take you back to court, I want to bring back in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar to discuss. Michael, what do you make of her testimony as it moves along? The more and more that I hear, the more and more I feel doubt creeping in, for sure, regarding the prosecution's version of this story.
I was thinking exactly that thing. Note to self, if I ever commit a crime in Mississippi, I'm going to hire that attorney to defend me. He's doing a marvelous job. He's peeling back all the layers. And her credibility to me, I mean, that did it for me. Being on a jury is like standing on a swaying ship left to right? And at any given time in the journey, you know where the ship is leading. I think for me right now, if the jury were to vote right now, I think that they would acquit him. I think there's enough reasonable doubt. I think her testimony's not credible.
I agree with you. Now, maybe the state's going to present more to convince me that it is beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't see it yet. But some of the testimony is really troubling to me, that she didn't call the police because she said it was normal that this guy would go away and leave and come and go without her being able to say anything about it. But on the other hand, she said at the very beginning of him not being home, she starts talking to his mother about where is he and what's he doing and he's missing. Well, then why are you doing that? On the other hand, saying, oh, I didn't need to call the police. He did this all the time. Her testimony just doesn't make sense to me, Michael.
I think the jury will reasonably infer that what she's doing is covering up, lying, telling the truth in some instances and lying in other instances because she can't really say everything else. Like what Michael said in the prior block, which is her deal is actually not done. Like if the prosecution doesn't like what they hear on the stand, they could pull the deal. So I think she's got that in the back of her mind that she doesn't want to disturb her deal. So that's why your observation is correct for that reason.
And I will say this, maybe not calling the police because she knows in the back of her mind that
he's a drug dealer.
He's a drug dealer and a gun dealer.
And
Last thing you want is the cops involved in any way, right?
And I suspect she knows if she called the police and he was fine, he would have, done so many things to her for calling the police.
And Mike, finally, a couple more seconds that we have. Do you think her deal is in jeopardy based on the way she's testifying? Because she's giving and taking away for the prosecution's case.
Yeah, she's I think she's basically helping her dad, whether she wants to or not. I think it is in jeopardy.
All right. Now, this case is something else. I'm telling you, this is the first one I've watched in a while where I feel like there's a lot of reasonable doubt here, and we have to see how the prosecution shores it up if they're able to. Stand by, Michael. We're going to get you back inside the courtroom for more of the defense attorney's cross-examination.